item, because the presentation, is it the same as last time, or do you want to talk about the changes that were made?
The presentation for the rezoning and flex would be the same as this is second reading, but the site plan is brand new this evening,
Okay.
as is the plat.
Okay.
As is the plat.
All right, so let me call up the individuals who have put in requests to speak. Lori Ann Groover. You want to wait? Okay. Marge Perry. Do you want to wait, or do you want to come up? Okay. Nancy Self. They're waiting for the next meeting. Lynn Damiano. Wait, please. You gonna wait? Okay. Christine Musial, you want to wait? Okay. Alice Turner? Okay. Greta Gagnon? Okay. Is there anybody else that wanted to speak about this tonight, that would like to speak tonight? Come on up. Not sure which one it is. No, that's okay.
Good evening, everyone.
Please state your name and address, and please address
Yes.
the commission.
My name is Patricia Cunningham Pascator. I live at 5181 Southwest 27th Terrace in Dania Beach, Florida. The reason why I'm calling is that I've become aware that the property that's adjacent to 27th Terrace, yes?
That's a different item.
Okay, and we're going to be able to speak on this item tonight?
Yes. Well, you can go ahead. I mean, that's actually the next, that's item number 4, and it's the
Okay.
next item that's on there, and I believe that one's actually being continued as well.
Okay.
But you're welcome to speak on it now.
Okay, thank you. I have some concerns that I would like to address the commission. In that 27th Terrace is basically a one-lane road. I don't know if everyone is aware of that, but it's really more like an alley. And in fact, when people come to visit my house, they actually can't find the road, thinking it is actually going into the fortune teller tarot card reader. My concern is that in not knowing exactly what's going to be built on that property, that if traffic is going to be directed onto 27th Avenue, I think that's going to be a mistake. In that it's one other thing that people may not be aware of, when you're turning into 27th Avenue, the way the current structure of the road is, it has a very high dip. And a lot of times people are flying down Griffin Road, and when you're turning, even with turn signals, people almost run right into the back of you because it takes a long time for you to make that curve. And so I'm very concerned about how traffic is going to be directed. If we're going to get something similar to Dollar Tree and all of that traffic is going to be coming on this alleyway, it is actually a street, but it's more, acts like an alley, I have really big concerns. Currently, the property on almost the entire side of the property on 27th Terrace has a wall. And that sort of limits the amount of people that can come out of that current business into our alley. And I would like to be that, if that is part of the plans, I would like that to be maintained. That wall or some structure as like a wall would be able to section off any traffic coming out of that business onto 27th Terrace. That's my biggest concern.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do you want to go?
Ma'am, for that application, for your application, the attorney, the applicant has requested to defer it to April 28th. So if you don't have to come back if you want to leave your comments here, and I'll make sure that the lawyer watches the video of this, and then he knows your concerns. But you probably want to know what it's about. So I would suggest if you could come back April 28th, and then you can make those comments, and they'll be able to address them for you. Okay, thank you.
Okay, we will get to that, and we'll explain the whole
Later, yeah.
process later, but let me go back in order again. Do we have to vote on 1, 2, and 3? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. So do we have a motion to continue 9-1, 9-2, and 9-3 until the next meeting, which is February 25th?
I make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay, thank you. Next item will be back on order, presentations and special event approvals. The first item up is Dania Beach Chamber of Commerce update by Randy Shane.
Good evening, everybody. Randy Shane, 100 West Dania Beach Boulevard. Exciting things in Dania Beach. So many grand openings with Dania Point. Cooper's Hawk Winery is open now. Firebirds is open now. Tommy Bahama's Marlin Grill opened this week. We have Rodizo Grill coming, the Bolero Bowling. And today we had the honor of cutting the ribbon and opening the new Le Meridian Hotel and their Toro restaurant. The food is incredible, and I urge everybody to go and try it.
Anything else?
I'm good, thank you so much. Oh, we have lunch tomorrow at PDQ, if anybody wanted to join the chamber lunch, 11:45 at PDQ. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you, Randy. Okay. Next item is a special event request from the Marine Industries Association of South Florida for their 43rd annual Broward County Waterway Cleanup to be held on March 7, 2020, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. This event will be held in various locations around Dania Beach, such as Dania Beach Pier Marina, Secret Woods Nature Center, Harbor Town Marina, and Dr. Von D. Mizell Eula Johnson State Park. The applicant is also requesting the following: a special event fee waiver of $150, waiver of parking fees for volunteers, and for the city to provide dumpsters for all cleanup sites. Are there any issues?
No, Mayor, we're in support. Move the item.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item is special event request from the Field Irish Pub and Eatery, 3281 Griffin Road, for their annual St. Patrick's Day celebration to be held on March 17, 2020, from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. The applicant is also requesting a road closure on Griffin Road, fence, temporary signage, and BSO detail. Are there any issues?
No, Mayor, we're in support. Move the item.
Move the item.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Next item is presentation on Oasis 14 from Public Services.
Thank you, Colin. Thank you, Katya. Good evening,
Journalists.
good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, members of the administration who are here with us today, all the residents that are here with us and watching on TV. My name is Fernando Rodriguez. I'm the Director of Public Services for Dania Beach. Tonight we're going to do a brief presentation covering the Oasis program, and it'll be really a brief summary of the overall progress of the program, some of the history of Oasis, and as well as going over some of the items on the horizon, looking at the future of Oasis. Oasis projects are essentially neighborhood improvement, and through physically enhancing the neighborhoods or sections of the neighborhoods within our city's different areas, Oasis really can have a positive impact and has had a positive impact on safety, aesthetics, and beautification. It enhances mobility. In some cases, even though it is pedestrian-focused mobility, in some cases we've been able to enhance bicyclist mobility or cyclist mobility. Some projects in Oasis may even improve stormwater, and we'll look at some of those details shortly as to how these elements are achieved. The result overall of Oasis program is been to enhance the quality of life of residents of Dania Beach. Now, to look at some of the history, since 2012, we've had 14 Oasis projects completed throughout our city, with an average project cost of about $200,000. Now, 2.8 million of these improvements have been co-funded by the CDBG, or Community Development Block Grants, as well as general fund. And here we get to the items we mentioned earlier about safety and mobility, et cetera. The typical Oasis projects include things like paver block aprons for driveways, new or repaired sidewalks. Often we have decorative street signs and traffic signs. Lighting, usually solar power lighting on streets is a very important element of many of the Oasis projects. And ADA, American with Disabilities Act compliance. These crosswalks that are not up to the code are brought up to code throughout many of the Oasis projects. Now, other elements in Oasis may include entranceway improvements and bike lanes, and like I said earlier, we'll get to that in a minute as far as some of the specific projects that have occurred that we've done. Oasis 12 was back in fiscal 17, and it impacted Northwest 8th Avenue. And you can see some of the elements we mentioned earlier. Raised and fixed curves really are a mobility and a safety matter. Driveway pavers, aesthetic improvements, things look a lot nicer when you have the pavers. New Oasis signs and new decorative street signs, again, an aesthetic improvement. Now, safety is very important to all of us, obviously. Solar power street lights definitely enhance safety, and new mailboxes and decorative speed tables obviously are decorative, are aesthetically valuable. In fiscal 18, Oasis 13, on Northeast First Street, again, a lot of the elements came into play there, but I'd like to point out that the soil replacement, that fourth bullet, with crushed stones and geotextile, that really improves the drainage, stormwater drainage in that particular section. So while it is not a typical catch basin with pipes, it certainly stores water and retains water and takes it off the surface where it is a nuisance and it's a safety issue. 700 feet of new or improved or replaced sidewalk, again, mobility, again, safety, and solar power lights, which again, an important component of many of our Oasis projects. This is a recent project, just recently completed, Oasis 15 on 25th Terrace. This project, you can see the decorative signs there at the lower left. And this is a project that has a very exciting feature, which we don't always find in Oasis. This is a bike lane. You see it to your right, the bigger picture with the Oasis sign, and in the background, the green bike lane. Again, a mobility enhancement, aesthetic improvement, and just several different things going on in this project that really has been a very, again, our most recent and another success. What I'd like to do now is to turn it over to Deputy Director Marjorie Craig, who will go over some of a future project in Oasis. So looking forward to this. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, and City leadership. I'm Marjorie Craig. I'm the Deputy Public Services Director, and I'd like to share with you, we're excited to share with you the proposed Oasis 14. This project will provide many of the enhancements that Fernando went through, which is updated traffic signs and enhanced safety, public safety, pedestrian safety, and stormwater enhancements where possible. The project itself will be along Southeast 13th Street between Federal Highway and Southeast 2nd Avenue, and it's proposed to enhance 15 houses with 21 driveway aprons, which is in the city right-of-way, and along Southeast 13th Terrace, which will include 16 houses with 16 aprons. So the driveway aprons, we take out the driveway apron and we put filter fabric and crushed gravel and cover it with permeable pavers. So that enhances the stormwater aspect. And we include signage and, as Fernando mentioned, the solar lighting as well. And the other project is along Southeast 5th Avenue, and we'd like to install some safety improvements. So there's a school, Olsen Middle School, about 800 feet away from this intersection, this T intersection, and we'd like to really enhance that crosswalk and put a stop sign there, at least one. We may be able to put another one there as well. This particular area, Walmart graciously donated $3,000 towards Art Public Places, and what we'd like to do is enhance the crosswalk and create a very artistic crosswalk in that area. So the project budget is expected to be about $200,000, and we have the Walmart grant. And so the breakdown of expenses with $13,000 for design, bidding, and project management, and then $18,000 for the crosswalk, and about $159,000 for the Oasis style improvements that we discussed, and then a $13,000 project contingency. So are there any questions?
Commissioner James?
Yes. Can you go back to that, well, you don't have to go back to the slide, but I was speaking with a resident maybe a few weeks ago about the Southwest 25th Terrace that you all did. And at the time where I went, I think that you may have just put the bike lanes because there were no bike lanes at that time. But the resident was very upset, or a few of the residents on that street were very upset because of how, I don't know the terminology of construction, but how they ripped it up and repaved it, and it's very uneven, and it's not a, it's the same thing right here. Which street is this? I think it's either Northeast First Court or something like this near Jimmy's Chocolates. That area is just, it looks ripped up and just people put asphalt back, and I don't think that it's serving the purpose with the drainage, or I know that the speed hump stopped obviously where the bike lane should go, but if you could just take a look at that to
Absolutely.
make sure it was done correctly. Thank you.
And we've been out there several times to address some of them, but we'll go out and check it again, for sure.
Vice Mayor?
To expound a little bit on what the commissioner said, also, and this is over the time of many years, and maybe some of you have heard this as well, there's the feeling that it wasn't, the quality wasn't consistent. Like, I've heard some neighborhoods feel that and I know that, you know, I remember the process. I've been to these meetings before where, you know, essentially you pick what you're interested in having in your neighborhood. But there was a feeling, and I can't remember the specifics, but maybe it was something like with the signs. There was like stickers for signs or something
Well,
in one
those are
neighborhood.
mailboxes.
Where, and for the mailboxes, and then for another one, they you know, they had something where it was painted or it was permanent. So there wasn't a consistency in quality. At least that was the perception, and from what I remember at the time, I agreed with them. So if that's something I'd like to pay attention to, that whether you're receiving pavers, signage, some street improvement, and you know, you're in one neighborhood, it's going to be of the same high quality that you're going to receive in any other portion of the neighborhood, and I'd really like us to be mindful of that. That's all.
It's a great comment. Did you want
Thank
to?
you.
Commissioner James?
Yes, I was just going to expand exactly on what the Vice Mayor was saying, especially in the Northwest section. They really just slap stickers on mailboxes, and other neighborhoods, they had the nice little dangly numbers. And I complained about it then, and I think the excuse I was given was the mailboxes, that they don't really carry those type anymore. It's a lot of nice neighborhoods that don't have stickers on their mailboxes, not just in Dania Beach, but
Yeah.
period. So definitely, if we're going to do it, we need to do it correctly. I don't want, you know, any of our residents feeling like certain areas are being neglected with that quality that other neighborhoods aren't getting.
Fernando just said we could probably look at maybe going back and fixing some of those, and
It
we'll
was Northwest
identify-
8th
Okay.
that you had it, but I'm just saying the quality of it versus what
making
I've
sure.
seen were day and night.
Thank you. Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
City Manager?
Yeah, I remember having this conversation with Commissioner James when I first started, and one of the things that I discussed with the director is go back to those past projects that were done even before this administration, before the director and the deputy director were here, and just do an assessment. And if anything needs to be improved, this commission has been very supportive into, investing in the community. So if you could just do an overall assessment of every Oasis that has happened in our city. And make it consistent, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, our next item is Parks and Recreation presentation. What's happening in Parks and Rec?
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, City Attorney, Eric Brown, Parks Director.
Anthony Alfretti, Superintendent of Parks and Recreation.
Tonight, we want to just give an overview on some of the exciting things that's happening in Parks and Recreation. I'm excited, Anthony's excited. Some of the residents are excited, so we want to get them all excited about what's going on. And we believe that free 99 is real good. I love free 99. So Anthony going to start out with talking about some partnerships that we established with some of our partners in our community that's going to benefit our citizens as well as our aftercare children in our department.
Hello, Commissioners, City Manager, City Attorney, City Clerk. Good evening, everyone. The first thing that I would actually like to talk about is our partnership with Olsen Middle School. So we were able to go ahead and establish a reciprocal use agreement based upon the fact that we do not currently have a gym within the city of Dania Beach. A lot of our kids are out playing within the parks, and they're playing basketball. It's a real big sport around this area in general. So we had to establish a reciprocal use agreement with Olsen Middle School to be able to use their gymnasium on Tuesdays and Thursdays for basketball practice pretty much. Moving forward, we're probably going to try to start doing games there on Saturdays as well. But it was one of the bigger things that we needed so that we could get the kids from playing outside into a gymnasium. So we were able to establish that there. The second thing that we pretty much were able to establish as far as a partnership was with PDQ. On Monday evenings between the hours of 6 and 8 p.m., we will be doing a Parks and Rec night at PDQ pretty much. Kids are able to eat free between those 2 hours. They're going to be giving kids meals, and the adults are going to be able to receive 50% off of all the menu price items. So those are two of the big things that we have right now in Parks and Recreation.
Commissioner James.
Yes, clearly I'm not going to be able to lose weight this year again. But about that reciprocal use agreement with Olsen, with those basketball gyms, when you all play your league games, is it the standard 94 feet or is it the middle school type gyms? Because I know it's a difference in length.
It's not 94, it's 84. It's not, yeah.
Oh, college is probably 94.
Yeah.
So I know that Olsen, like the middle schools gyms are smaller.
Yes.
When you all play in your leagues, are those
same size. It's
same
standard
size?
for high school / middle school, based on the age group. Now, if we're using 18-year-olds, then we would go to Addicts or either South Broward.
Okay, because I was going to say maybe reach out to South Broward as well to see if you can utilize their facilities as well.
Yep.
But thank you.
And some of the other things that are happening in Parks and Recreation, as you know, we established a Youth Advisory Council. And we're excited about the Youth Advisory Council. I know that we had a meeting last month and we had 2 youth show up, but we're excited about the 18th of this month where we should have at least 7 kids show up, and that's a great start. And some of the things that we're going to implement with our youth during this, with the Youth Advisory Council is that these kids are going to be between the ages of 13 and 18, and they will be taught leadership training along with developing resumes, accumulating community service hours, participating in community youth service programs, planning events, field trips, and then having a wide range of networking with other teams throughout the county, throughout the state. I know Commissioner James and the mayor brought to my attention about some field trips out of the state. And we're excited about that. I'll get with Anthony tomorrow, and we'll bring that up at our meeting on the 18th, and then we'll go from there. But we're excited about our Youth Advisory Council. And look in the near future to see our Youth Advisory Council come to this meeting and do a presentation as well. And that's what the Youth Advisory Council is all about. P.J. Milley Dog Park, better known as Precious Paws. On March the 4th, the Parks Department would actually host a celebration in commemoration of the Dania Beach being being a certified city for pets. So we're going to have an event out there to actually bring awareness to our dog park, to let our citizens know that it's open, it's free, and we're going to have free doggy treats for the dogs that come out and bring their dogs out on the 4th. So we're going to open up on the 4th to actually do an event to let everybody know that we have a dog park, it's free, and we are also a certified city for pets.
What day and time is that?
March 4th, and it starts about 5 o'clock, 5 to 8.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So bring your pets out, allow them to come out and eat some free doggy treats on us. Free 99 is good, like I said before. Our spring camp, we are keeping that theme. I know we haven't had a spring camp in Dania Beach forever, and we're excited about our spring camp, not only because it's going to be one of our first, but because we're now pushing out our STEM camp. So during this spring camp this week, we're going to have our kids actually come out and learn how to make a robot, something they can take home, plug into their computer, and say, I made this in Dania Beach. So STEM is huge in the country, and we're going to roll that out to give an incentive to let our kids know throughout our county, throughout our city, that Dania Beach camps will be one of the best. Staff promotions, we had a few promotions within our city, and we, from a direction from our city manager, we love to promote within if we can. And the Parks Department was able to grab 2 great employees, one right here on my right, and Kayla Gardner, who has grown up through the trenches in Dania Beach, is now our new recreation coordinator, something that's brand new in the city of Dania Beach, but I'm excited about it because now we have somebody on board who can actually go out and coordinate programming, so we're excited about that. At C.W. Thomas, we know that safety is a big concern of ours, and so we know that our buildings were built years ago and we didn't have the ADA accessible doors. We are proudly to announce that our doors now at C.W. Thomas are ADA accessible, and we're now looking to do the rest of our sites the same way so that a wheelchair can actually hit a button and go into the building. And we are pushing that out, and we are looking for a budget for that, Commission. Just, believe it or not, we're looking for a budget for that. So, almost done. Census 2020. We are partnering with Census 2020 right now, March 23rd to the 27th. They will be at IT Parker. We have boots on the ground with the Parks Department. We're getting out with the census, and we're going to be out doing our due diligence to make sure that everybody is counted, nobody left behind in the city of Dania Beach. We applied for a FERDAP grant, Florida Recreation Department Assistance Program, and I'm excited because in my career of 30 years or 32 years in recreation, I've always fell somewhere in the 30-something or 40-something with these FERDAP grants, and I was able to actually build 2 sites before I left Hollywood with the FERDAP grant. We ranked second out of 40 municipalities with our FERDAP grant, and it was about 60 or 70 people, but it was 40 people in the 200,000 range, and the city of Dania Beach ranked second, so we're excited about that. I texted the manager as she was on her way to Tallahassee to make sure that she's lobbying for us, and she did. So we're excited about bringing some money in Dania Beach so we can build a new site on the beach, so we're excited about that. And lastly, but not least, Earth Day has approached us, and Vice Mayor, just like I heard you, I heard my city manager, her first month on the job when she asked about Earth Day. So Earth Day, the Parks Department has teamed up with St. George Catholic School, and we're going to do a project on the beach, and we're going to put out about anywhere from 11 to 20 signs that say leave only your footprints. But this is the ticker. Those 20 signs will be in 20 different languages, because in Dania Beach we have about 20 different languages that hit our beach. So we're going to put up signs, and our kids are going to put them up, and then after that we're going to have a cleanup as well as doing an education piece on why Earth Day is so important for our environment. So we're going to put the signs up in March, but April 22nd we will be out with our can catchers, cleaning our beach, picking up cigarette butts and all of that, and having all of those signs out, and then actually looking for some folk who speak that language to say, what does that say in that language? So we're excited about that. That's our spiel. We're sticking to it. And any questions?
Hold on, can we hit the buttons? Oh, they're broken? Oh, okay, well,
That's what we were chatting about, that they're all
Oh,
broken,
okay.
so we're going to raise our hand.
Vice Mayor, I'll start with you, and I'll work my way down.
I
How's
was
that?
definitely first. Mr. Brown, you reminded me, I'm nervous about something. So, I know you love when I say that. When we went to DC and we were talking with the other cities, and I was hearing about all their initiatives of what they're doing for the census, I believe we are woefully behind. So when you were talking about that you paired up with Broward's Census 2020, is that correct? Is that what you said?
Well, they reached out to us, and they're
Right.
they're going to be using our facilities to train those folk to go out.
Okay.
The city manager has a slew of meetings that we've already attended on our strategy, along with the assistant city manager, on what we're doing to put that out.
Have we reached out to them? Because a lot of the cities were talking to me about how at their community centers and at the parks, they had, and I guess they were able to get it through their county, the different materials about it. Because I think a lot of it's just going to be exposure. Like,
Right.
how many of us outside of this circle really know that it's coming? So I think there needs to be some sort of repetition of one, that it's coming and starting soon, and two, availability of the information in almost every form we can get it out there.
Right now, city manager, help me with this, because I'm not running a blank, but I kind of remember our meeting last week when we talked about, and we met with Katya, and she had all these great ideas, and
Okay.
we're putting the material out, and it's going to be in a few different languages. But
Okay.
the city manager can probably,
Yes, if I may, through the chair. Actually, we met last week, and Corinne and Eleanor and Public Works and Candido and BSO, we've put a team together working with Broward County. And Corinne, correct me if I'm wrong, are we doing the big presentation at the next commission meeting, or the first one in March? The first one in March. And basically, we're doing a full court press citywide in regards to getting the word out in 3 different languages. And what we've been doing is a lot of behind-the-scenes planning. And you guys will be very, very pleased with the presentation that's upcoming.
Okay, well then I would say to my colleagues, myself included, that we on our end need to step up our game with getting that complete count committee completed, because you can do all the behind the scenes work, and as thorough as I believe it's going to be, if complementing that, we don't have the resident side of the people who know the neighborhoods to go into and to disseminate all this information and these plans and all this, different things that are being put together, we're really going to be at a disadvantage. And I do believe that. I do believe that it can't just be one component that we're addressing. So, I would ask that we really dig deep into our relationships with different people in the city and find people who, I haven't looked at the bottom. I think we all have at least one appointment available. And try and find those hard-to-reach communities, those people who are going to be able to be resources, whether it's the pastors, the small business owners, the HOA presidents, whoever you think is going to be best, and get them on this committee.
and all those names you just mentioned came up in our meeting, and,
Right.
and we face base. I'm hitting all the face bases in Dania, and we all have spread it out where we're going to be hitting all those homeowners meetings. Our
Sure.
team will be hitting homeowners meetings, so we will be hitting those places.
But we need to make that committee, that complete count committee, so
Right.
that they, they're getting together with some regularity and comparing notes, like, oh, this side, has nothing. Well, this side
Right.
seems to be well-informed. So
We will.
everyone needs to kind of do their job on
Right.
this,
We will.
and I appreciate your efforts. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that it?
Commissioner Harris?
I know we talked about this before, about the underutilized skate park. I get requests every day for pickleball courts. Is that going to be an option for sometime soon? Because there's a group over in the southeast, and every time I see her, she's out walking her dog. Every time I see her, she says, when are we getting the pickleball courts at Frost Park so we don't have to go to Hollywood anymore? So is that going to be in the budget?
Well, yes and no. Short term, we had a company come out, and we're painting pickleball courts on one of the tennis courts. So it'll be dual, it'll be pickleball and tennis. So we won't have to tear anything down to do it. For a budget for pickleball to go in there, that's a capital improvement. And right now, that would be a mod we would have to put in during mod time to actually do a makeover. We're talking about anywhere from 15 to 25,000 for that, to move what we're talking about or what they wanted to see. But when I met them on site last week, and the compromise was that we'll paint pickleball here on this one court. And if there's no tennis players playing, in which she said that it wasn't always crowded, she still will be able to play pickleball. So we should have those courts painted in the near future.
Okay, and do you anticipate keeping the skate park as it exists now? Because I'm by there almost every day, and I don't often see people out there, so what would be the best use for that space?
The best use for that space would be to cut it in half and have pickleball on one side and skate park on the other. I'm yet to not see at least one or two people skating. Yeah, well, I mean, so I don't want to take it totally away, but there's enough room where we can share the space and get about 3 pickleball courts on one side and still have one side for the skate park. But like I said, that's a capital improvement that we'll discuss at a later date.
Commissioner James?
Yes. To speak about the pickleball court, I think the lady has probably emailed all of us. I know
Yeah.
I've forwarded
met her on
you
site.
an email about that. Anything that we're talking about capital improvements, I know we have an approved parks master plan, and I think we, any changes to that need to be changed to implement it can probably go in there, because if you start just improving one of the parks, I have residents from all of the parks that want things at their parks as well. I think the dual solution is great, especially if you can have maybe in a different color to outline
Yeah, it
what
would be.
is. I mean, they do the same thing on football, soccer fields, and volleyball and basketball courts as well. With the complete count committee, I went to the Hispanic vote last month, and they have someone. If we do not have anyone that is willing to sit on that committee, they have someone, a team. I cannot remember her name. I know. Do you remember her name? Okay, so they can bring resources in to help us with the complete count committee, so that even if we are just, I don't know anyone that is nearly interested. Anyone out there want to be on a complete count committee? Nearly interested, that really wants to. I don't want to just put someone there if they're not really going to get the job done.
Right.
Because it'll be like a lot of the rest of our boards that are showing up for us, and they're not really being effective on that board. So either Commissioner Harris or the chair, she was there as well. She actually had the presentation, and she has a lot of resources. So when I find that out, I'll send that over to you. Oh, you have it. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Okay.
from Hollywood, I know her. Okay.
Okay. About the dog-friendly Dania Beach, I think it was a great idea. I think that we foundationally need to change things to make sure it's really dog-friendly. Like, we don't have a dog space on the beach, even though the dogs are on the beach. And I know that because I went to a sunrise prayer, and there were many dogs out there, and I went to tell them that dogs are not allowed on the beach, and I was like, oh, well, staff doesn't get here till 8. And, and they asked me, do you have something against dogs? I was like, no, I'm just a commissioner telling you the rules. That's it. And so maybe we can implement, certain days and times that dogs are permitted at the parks or at the beach, or do something that, it really induces that change, that even though we have this certification, we have a lot of restrictions on pets in our public spaces. I don't think they're really allowed at the parks other than the dog parks, correct?
Right. Well, dogs allowed on parks is if they're on a leash. Dogs are not allowed in playgrounds where kids will wallow and roll around, because even if you pick up behind them, residue is still left. So a dog cannot go into a playground or a sports field. But they are allowed in the perimeter of a park on a leash, because we have pet stations throughout our city.
Yes.
Just to answer you on the beach piece, most cities, a few cities in Broward County have a dog beach. We have a dog beach, but it's our dog lake, where dogs can actually go and enjoy water as well. In the near future, we will look at, our beach is not large enough like Hollywood. Hollywood had a section where it's just roped off for dogs.
Correct.
Because you don't want to go to the beach and sunbathe. You sunbathe? But you don't want to go and sunbathe and then lay down, even though they picked up. There was some residue left there, and then, you laid in it. So that's why you have a designated area for that.
I know your employees love that dog beach over in Hollywood,
Yeah.
right?
So,
So I'm not sure. I know that little piece and the beach is really Hollywood and not Dania Beach. I'm still
Yeah.
faithful that you, along with the city manager, can acquire that.
Oh, yeah.
Take it back, since we already have a lifeguard station that we are funding.
Right.
That's in their city. So maybe that's something down the road we can look at doing. But thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thank
Does
you,
anybody
guys.
have anything else, since I can't see the lights, apparently? No? Okay, all right, thank you very much. All right, next is proclamations. The first one is on for Black History Month, and that's from me. And apparently, we have a new frame that we're using when mayor, vice mayor, commissioners request a proclamation. So
You got to thank Erica from the clerk's office.
thank you, Erica, for that. She's not here, but thank you, Erica. Okay, so as everybody knows, February is Black History Month, and I wanted to have a proclamation for this. So let me just go ahead and read that. From the Office of the Mayor, City of Dania Beach, Florida. Whereas Black History Month is a national event celebrating the contributions of African American people in their struggles for freedom and equality and their part in the development of our nation's history. And whereas in 1926, historian and author Carter G. Woodson, who is known as the father of Black history study, introduced Negro History Week as a reaction to racism and to highlight the role African Americans have played in the development of civilization. Since that time, Negro History Week has been expanded to encompass the entire month of February and has also undergone a change in terminology. And whereas in 1986, Congress passed Public Law 99-244, which designated February 1986 as National Black Afro-American Month. And whereas this year's theme, African Americans and the Vote, emphasizes the ongoing struggle on the part of both African American men and African American women for the right to vote. And whereas Black History Month offers us an opportunity to honor pioneer families and past elected officials of African American descent who have served our great city. Some of those are Leola Collins, humanitarian, and Collins Elementary School was named in her honor. Jacob Robinson, who is the first African American postal clerk at the post office, Substation A. Thomas H. Hampton, who is the first African American policeman. Dr. Raymond Walker Jr., who is the first African-American orthopedic surgeon in the state of Florida. Vita Mae Peterman, first African-American on Dania Beach Housing Authority. Horace McCutcheon, first African-American grocery store owner and first African-American to serve on the Dania Beach Code Enforcement Board. Sterling Collins, 1910 builder and business owner. Mildred Jones, community activist. Henry White, first African-American male born in Dania Beach. First Dania Beach baby? Yes, okay. Let me see here. Charlie and Mary Chambers, 1902 builder and midwife. Lawrence Curry, first dry cleaners. Della Smith, first African-American restaurant owner. Isidore Mizell, 1907 builder and caretaker of John Bryan Groves. Dr. Vaughn D. Mizell, helped found the NAACP's Broward chapter in 1945. J. A. Ely, first African-American principal of Attucks School. Boise N. Waiters, first African-American commissioner. Chester Bird, first African-American mayor. And Bobby H. Grace, first African-American female mayor and commissioner. Now, therefore, on behalf of the Dania Beach City Commission, I, Lori Llewellyn, Mayor of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, do hereby proclaim the month of February 2020 as Black History Month in the City of Dania Beach and encourage all citizens of Dania Beach to join in learning about and celebrating the contributions African Americans have made to the world, to our country, and to our community. Thank you. And are we hanging this somewhere in City Hall? Okay. Okay. So I will pass that down for that to be handled. Okay. The next proclamation is for Eating Disorders Awareness Week. Liz Mata, Director of Education and Resources, the Alliance for Eating Disorders Awareness. Is she here? She was. I think she was here earlier. Okay. Well, I'll go. Should I go ahead and read it or defer? Okay. I'll go ahead and read it. She went out to eat? She did?
Eating disorders.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Okay, I'll go ahead and present it anyway. It was requested by the Director of Education and Resources at the Alliance for Eating Disorders Awareness. So we went ahead and I believe we've done these in the past as well. So anyway, okay. This is another proclamation from the Office of the Mayor, City of Dania Beach, Florida. Whereas eating disorders affect 30 million individuals in the United States during their lifetimes, with more than 700,000 individuals in the state of Florida alone. And whereas eating disorders, including the specific disorders of anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa, binge eating disorder, avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, and other specified feeding or eating disorders are complex biologically based illnesses. And whereas eating disorders are associated with serious physical health consequences, including irregular heartbeats, heart disease and heart failure, kidney failure, osteoporosis, gastric rupture, tooth decay, obesity, gallbladder disease, diabetes, and death. And whereas at least once every 62 minutes someone dies due to their struggle with an eating disorder, and anorexia nervosa has one of the highest mortality rates among all psychiatric illnesses. And whereas eating disorders know no boundaries with respect to genders, ages, races, ethnicities, body shapes and weights, sexual orientations, and socioeconomic statuses, and have a high prevalence among active military service members and veterans. And whereas with early detection and intervention, full recovery from an eating disorder is possible. And whereas the Alliance for Eating Disorders Awareness, a 501c3 nonprofit organization, is the leading national eating disorders organization headquartered in the state of Florida, dedicated to providing programs and activities aimed at outreach, education, and early intervention for all eating disorders. Now, therefore, on behalf of the Dania Beach City Commission, I, Lori Llewellyn, Mayor of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, do hereby proclaim the week of February 23, 2020 to February 29, 2020 as Eating Disorders Awareness Week. Thank you. Hold on to that and follow up with her. Okay. Next is citizen comments. Jose Armand.
Let's start the 3 minutes here. Let me put all my things here in place, please. My name is Jose Armand. Southeast 50 Southeast 3rd Avenue, Dania Beach. My friends call me Armand. My adversaries call me just another Joe. They revel on it. So, to quote Oscar Wilde, there's only one thing in life worse than being talked about, and that is not being talked about. So I am director of Latino Ensemble Inc., a performing arts company here in Dania, and my reason for coming up to the lectern is born out of a desperate frustration for quite some time now. I've been trying to trace the history of the Dania Beach Theater that once existed right here on, I'm sorry, Commissioner Brandy March is not here. She could be seeing this at a point in time. She might have some ideas. But anyway, I'm trying to trace its history for a while, and nobody seems to know what happened to that theater. I did go there, and for many years now it's been a Pentecostal or a fundamentalist church. So this performing arts seems to have disappeared from the consciousness of longtime locals I've spoken with. I was always referred to a gentleman who, to my chagrin and his, has passed away. May he rest in peace. I don't know his name, but they refer to him as a local historian who knew much of the history of the city. So I did go to the site, and it's like right off close to where that building that had that earthquake-like thing that fell down, a couple of stores down. So what happened is that, unfortunately, this trend also took place in Los Angeles by force during the decades I lived there. Huge movie palaces on Broadway Street were turned into venues for fundamentalist religious groups. Movie temples turned into Joel Osteen-like mega churches. So for a time while I lived in the City of Angels, I reviewed for the LA News theatrical pieces for Latino, Hispanic performing arts events. couldn't help but notice the scarcity of performing venues and traditional Latino venues right on Broadway Street in LA. So I am interested in researching the history of this elusive theater space. If anyone can give me some tips, perhaps I may find some answers or leads during this meeting that Vice Mayor Lauren Ottman announced at last commission meeting regarding the Dania Beach Historical Society and Museum. I've not been apprised or publicly sent any emails from Dania Beach Gov or any other public postings, and would like to pursue this important bit of history in our city. Thanks for your attention, but just something else impromptu, not in my script. The Parks and Rec has no gym, and the city of Dania Beach has no performing arts venue. Perhaps we can collaborate. Latino Ensemble is willing to partner or network. And I did read, did I not, I know you're not supposed to answer from it, did I not read on your resume some time ago that you did major or have a degree in theater history also, apart from being a star athlete?
I did study theater at the University of Miami, but I couldn't complete it due to basketball. I couldn't make it to all the theater
Of course, so
credits.
you excelled in something much more genius, humbly saying. So maybe you can help us in this endeavor. Anyway, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for your time.
Armand, I'll
And-
send you the date.
Oh, great. Thank you. And also, shout out to, I know I saw most of you on Facebook at the Elvis, my senior fellows here, colleagues from the Seniors Club. They seem to have a really good time. I was on a liquid diet because I had a test today, so I missed it, but it seemed like it was a really good thing. Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
James Terry? Oh, okay, well, that's for number 4. We're going to get to that. That's actually likely to be continued, or it's going to be continued, but when that comes up, you can come up and speak on it. Okay. Public safety reports.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. I have my report I was going to give tonight, but I'm going to change it up a little bit. Everybody here knows Lieutenant Daryl Stallings. He's been here about a little over 3 years, and I've had the honor and pleasure of working with him. All good things come to an end at some point. Daryl just got promoted to the rank of captain, and he's going back where he started his law enforcement career in Pompano Beach. So as we hate to lose him here because he's been such an asset to all of us, he's got a new opportunity. He's leaving on Saturday. Friday's his last day. But he did ask if he could still run the Dania After Dark events and the big events here. So I told him absolutely. Because Dania Beach is known as the Southeastern Empire among the sheriff's office. And I'm sure he's going to think of some creative name for Pompano, but it's not going to come close to us down here. But he wanted to come up and say a couple words, so I asked the city manager.
I was
and-
actually going to say, we should have him come up and speak, so sure, come on up. Captain. Come on up, Captain.
You know, I'm sorry, good evening. As Captain Mark said, when I came here, I thought that was going to be it. I got matter of fact, Sunday be 33 years in doing this job, and I started in 1987 in the city of Pompano Beach. And Lieutenant Tarala constantly tells me, he says, think about it. In 1987, you were a rookie, brand new guy, and now you're going back to run the place. I said, talking about going full circle. And I can tell you, when I came to Dania, I didn't know what to expect. But I kind of fell in love with it. I kind of hate to leave. And you guys have been great to me. I appreciate you for that. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Captain, and we will miss you, but I know we're still going to see him. That's good. So.
We'll definitely see him, and Lieutenant Tarala is stepping in to take his spot here, and then eventually we'll get a new road patrol lieutenant, who, of course, I'll bring and introduce. But Daryl, we're going to miss you, but don't be a stranger.
Sergio Pellicer, your district fire chief. So over the last week, our hazardous materials team came over to the water plant, and we did both Station 1, Station 17, our hazardous materials team. All the crews got together at the water plant, and we did an assessment of, well, first of all, we want to make sure that, you know, we met everybody at the water plant, so we know the faces and we know the people there working, and they met us person on person. And we want to be, you know, get familiar and make sure that everything was in good working conditions. And all I can tell you is that our team here at City of Dania Beach, the water plant, is, you walk in there and it is clean. It is like, you can, you know, eat off the floor. That's how. And thank you, Fernando and Marjorie, for helping me put this together. And Nate Costa walked us through, and we got some good insight as to what we can do or what we would do if, God forbid, we ever had an emergency there. So it's just an ongoing assessment that we are doing as a fire department, making sure that everything just, you know, we're on top of our game. Our fire team will also next week will be doing the Stop the Bleed. So just want to remind you, on Thursday of next week, Stop the Bleed courses will be here for the city team. And then following that, in the next month or so, we'll be doing a hands-on CPR for the city staff. I'm also planning on having the same thing done for the different senior groups. I've already spoken to them, so we'll get that set up for them also. Lastly, I just want to say that I have a gentleman here tonight that I'm truly blessed, because I'm surrounded by people that just have the work ethic that, you know, they work hard day in, day out. And the gentleman that I'm going to bring up here, his name is Nelson Murillo. And he took a little project on last month in January. And the project he decided to take on was our stock room in the back. You know, he figured he needed to clean it up and get it straightened out and come up with a new form so that we can order our supplies and there's no redundancy in ordering supplies. And he did an impeccable job of getting this together. I didn't ask him to do it. His captain didn't ask him to do it. This was just born out of his own drive. So for that reason, I want to recognize Nelson Murillo as Employee of the Month for January. And I want to say thank you for having that initiative and that drive to make us better. Olsen? You want some of that? Thank you, and
Thank
do you
you.
have any questions?
No, just thank
You
you.
want to take it later, after? All right, thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, next is consent agenda. Does anybody have any polls?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No bids and requests for proposals. The public hearings, we already went through 9.1 through 9.3 and 9.4. Go ahead.
9.4, resolution of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, approving the Griffin Living Plat, PL 99-19, submitted by the property owner, 2750 Griffin Holdings, LLLP, for property located at 2750 Griffin Road, 2730 Griffin Road, and 4850 Southwest 28th Avenue, in the City of Dania Beach, Florida, as legally described in Exhibit A, a copy of which is attached to this resolution, providing for conflicts, further providing for an effective date. We've had a request to continue this to the April 28th Commission meeting.
Okay, although,
Gentleman wants to-
yes, there's a couple people, I think. Although this is going to be continued to April, I'm going to call Mr. Terry. You wanted to speak on this?
Good evening, Board. So I'm a business owner in the city of Dania Beach. We also own a piece of property at 4811 Southwest 28th Avenue. We actually just purchased the property next door, which is 2810 East Griffin Road. And I just wanted to express some of the concerns that I've had with the current property that's there. It's an abandoned restaurant. It's a large open parking lot. There's a lot of transient activity going on. Random parked cars, random parked trucks, 18-wheelers, things that are just parked there. You've got residents' children walking by, and just wanted to kind of express our concern with that property not being developed, and I think the development will actually help the community and be better for it, and that's all I had to say.
Thank you. If there's anybody else here that wants to speak on this issue, if you'd like to come up, you're welcome to do so. Nope. Okay. So we need a motion to continue this to the April 28th, 2020 meeting.
Make a motion.
Continue.
And who wants to do the second?
I'll do the second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Next is discussion and possible action. Strategic planning process, Commissioner James.
Yes, thank you. Just wanted to discuss this. It was a little cumbersome and confusing, and I don't know the scope of work, and if, for me, I personally would like a community component to it. I understand this is supposed to be like our priorities, but I also understand that we represent the community, and so I don't know if there is room to add an impactful type of community component to it where we are actually implementing some of the things that the community wants on top of our own. And I just wanted to discuss the scheduling. I know we are 8 or 9 months away from another election, and it might be a change on, you know, who's up here and what their priorities may be. And so is there a way to, I don't know if we're going to do a part one and then a part two, because if you have a consensus that wants to go a different direction once the election, once November comes, I don't want us to go through this process and it doesn't make sense, or it be in vain because you have a new commission here, then we'll have to do the process all over again. So I don't know what anyone else thinks.
Sorry, it's just there's no.
No, I know, go ahead.
So if we're going to go through can we pick the dates? How do the dates work? City manager?
Okay, so I want to answer a couple of the questions and some of the concerns that Commissioner James has, as well as your question, Vice Mayor. So this is a public process. Most cities like ours have elections every 2 years. In the other cities that I've worked, when the strategic planning process has been done, every 3 years you go back and you do mini sessions where you can always revise and amend. But the strategic planning process gives us priorities that allows for budgeting, grant acquisition, and allows us to move forward based on the vision of this commission and the priorities of the commission. In regards to the dates, we provided several dates. To get started, it basically just starts with a 1 hour one-on-one phone call with the facilitator. And then after that's out of the way, then the next step will be like an 8-hour day that could be done whatever day is convenient for you guys. And the facilitator would make himself available. And then it goes to another 4 to 5 hour session. I saw it really work. I mean, this is something that was recommended to me by one of my mentors, Lee Feldman, who's a former manager of Fort Lauderdale, and he's now in Alachua County, where Gainesville is at. And it allows everybody to come together and basically, you roll up your sleeves and you put together your mission, your vision, your goals, your priorities, and what we do is score a lot of touchdowns for you all and for the community. But at any time, every 2 years, every 3 years, you could sit back and have a mini session and you can amend certain things. When priorities get accomplished, then you have to add new priorities. So it's basically up to you how you want to do it. You know, I remember sending, this email to you all back in April, a month after I became your manager, so you guys can become very familiar with it. It's just a way of being proactive as your manager to provide that guidance to make us better as a team.
So what are specifically, what are the next steps that you need from our end?
The next steps is basically, the facilitator has provided a 16-hour block where we could get started, and he has given us.
So do we need to pull out our calendars here? Okay. Oh, okay, well.
So basically, he has provided, just to get started, February 29th, from 6 a.m. in the morning until 10 p.m. And he would just schedule a 1-hour conversation with y'all, and then you get started, and after that, you all can provide several dates that you're available.
Okay.
And then the
Wait, I have
process-
a problem with the phone call,
On the
though.
20, so the next step is, because we need to sometimes break it down a little bit.
Yes.
So the next step is everyone needs to call him on the 20, so how do we get in touch with him to say, what's his name?
Lyle Summit.
Lyle.
So basically.
So Lyle, I'm going to call you at noon. How do I call Lyle and tell him I'm going to
So
call him?
basically what we would do, we would send you Mr. Summick's number, or I can send him your numbers.
Okay.
You guys can say, from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., you know what, schedule me from 9 to 10 in the morning, or from 1 to 2 in the afternoon, and
Got
he'll
it.
make himself available during that block.
Okay.
Once you get that out of the way, he begins to put the framework. And then after that's out of the way, then we'll come back with several dates for the 8-hour block.
Okay, so let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Wait.
So all we need to do now is she's going to send us the number to call Mr. So-and-so.
I'm just not comfortable with, we've never met this individual. We've never had someone do these types of services without a presentation, without meeting them, without knowing who they are. You think I'm just gonna call somebody and just and have a conversation? I'm not gonna do that. I've never even met him. We didn't even know his name.
Well, I don't need to date him, but I mean, I'm assuming.
Nah, you don't need to date
You don't
him.
need to take me out to dinner first before I'll pour my heart out, but. And I'm teasing, but I really was kind of skeptical about this at first. I really didn't want to spend so many hours on it. And then at it was a Florida League meeting maybe, and I spoke to a bunch of different commissioners, it was the one we were at, and some city managers, and I was like, is this a real thing? Is there really a point in me sitting in a room with these guys for 8 hours? And the first thing almost every single person said was some version of, oh, do you have a commission that has challenges getting together and making decisions sometimes, and some, a little fraction. And I said, oh, yes, we do. And they said, do this. This is going to help tremendously get everybody on the same page. So I think that because of that, it really made me believe in its value. And I think this person has a good resume, seems to have a good track record, and I don't know how much we're going to get out of it for him to come in and just, tell us, where he's worked before. There is some degree of, like in any relationship, a leap of faith that the person is competent, and the real work happens on our side, where we have to go up there and say, okay, this is what I care about, this is what I want the commission to care about, this is what I believe the residents want me to care about and voice. And so I understand what you're saying. It's
No,
strange
you
to call
don't.
someone, that it's strange to call somebody up?
No. Okay,
No?
let's get back to, I brought this item here, number one, because I wanted to speak about the community involvement, and we're on to dates. So I want to talk about the process and what we're actually going to be doing. And I understand that these are public meetings, but it doesn't necessarily mean that has a public component. It's a difference in the public sitting out here and the public actually having a role in the strategic process. So that, number one, was one of my reasons that I put this on
Can we
the
address these one at a time? So
Yes.
we can- Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
so let's start with that one.
Hold on, I wasn't finished with.
Well, I know you have others that you.
But I'm not going to go past that. I'm just saying that was one of my main reasons that I brought this here, because I mean, all of us have priorities, and of course you can do it or revise it every 2 to 3 years. But at the end of the day, whoever is up here after November can choose to bring it back at that time. So I definitely wanted this. That's why I wanted to have the community involvement, so we can all reach back and say, look, this is what the community wanted, regardless of who's shifting up here or not.
I wanted to let you know, I had our city clerk basically poll the 31 municipalities in Broward. We're only one of a couple of municipalities that don't have an adopted strategic master plan. And I think it's very important, because you all are very much involved and passionate group of elected officials. And you brought me here to be your manager, to be proactive rather than be reactive. So when I bring somebody like Lyle Summick, who's a PhD in public administration, and he's been doing this locally for 40 years, and when I get folks from like the city of Coral Spring, the city of Fort Lauderdale, the city of Pompano Beach, and those are just local cities. I mean, this individual has worked in over 50 municipalities, nationwide. And like the vice mayor says, at some point, if you can't trust me as your manager, then don't have me as your manager. But this is a very, very public process that is open to the public. But at the end of the day, you are, as the elected, body, make the decisions for the individuals that have elected you. But I know that so many of you are very active in your homeowners association and through events citywide. At every single step of the way, the mic is open to our residents and for them to come and say, hey, listen, our priority is public safety, or our priority is our schools, or our priorities are, beautification. So it's a very
It's not
public.
about trusting you. It's really about, I'm requesting that a process within the scope have community involvement, and not 3 minutes, you come up here and speak, but nothing really changes. I'm speaking about having a community component into this.
So
I'm
there's-
not
I
saying
think
that
there-
that I'm not supporting the strategic plan. That's not what I'm saying.
I think he has a community component that we can add into it, which
didn't
is a
see it.
separate.
So over here in activity 8, it says Citizen Summit optional. So I called them and I said, if the commission wanted to have this additional component, which is a Citizen Summit, it's somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000. So it's optional in year 1, but you could do it in year 1. And certainly if you wanted, we can add that to the menu. If you want to
So
do
this
it,
is added
we can
on whatever price that we're already paying him?
That is correct. I mean, this is over 100 hours of work, and to be able to get it, we ended up getting a secondary quote that was double this amount. So we're getting
Well,
great bang for our buck.
okay.
So we can add that in the citizens component, the citizen summit, and that would address the citizen participation.
Like a charrette?
Yeah, it's basically like a charrette, and we involved all the residents, and everybody rolls up their sleeves, and the residents also bring their priorities forward, and it's a very open forum, very round table type of forum.
I think Commissioner James, her concern was very valid, and I think it's a great
Absolutely.
idea to add on.
I would rather do more than less any
I'd rather
day.
do
I'm
more,
always
too. I'd rather do
watching
more,
the
too.
budget, but certainly it's something that if you want to add and it makes you happy, I want all you guys to be happy. So I never did it in my former city, so I'm excited about the possibility of adding a citizen summit.
Okay.
So that'll address that. I'd like to address the comments about the concerns about that it's an election year. I don't think we are putting anything on hold because it's an election year. The administration that is here is the administration that's here, and this is something that will help us to establish our priorities so that when we're going into budget season, which is coming up very shortly, at least we have an idea of what those priorities are, and it makes it more cohesive overall so that each department knows what the priorities are from the sitting commission. We don't hold things off we haven't held them off in other years.
Yes,
So
we
there's
have.
No, not something like this. We've never done this before, and it's something that we really need. It's something that we should have been doing for many, many years. And it's been, I mean, like the manager said, she sent us an email about this initially back in April. It's been put off and put off and put off. We need to do it. So I think it doesn't seem right to hold off. And if there is some concern after November that the priorities are not what they should be, I'm sure it can be addressed at that time. But I think for now, we need to do this because we should have done it last year when this was first addressed. So, to bring it up now that it's been approved in the budget, the money is there for it. There was a process, I think you said, Manager, that there was more than one, this wasn't the only person that you talked to about this.
We could have gone with just the one initial quote, but when I sat with our new finance director, he says, you know what, Manager, I'm going to sit down with the assistant city manager. Let's go ahead and get additional quotes. You could still go with this individual. But it made me feel good to follow his guidance and his direction, and we ended up getting 3 quotes in total.
Okay. And at least 2 of us are still going to be here after November, and possibly 4 of us. So that being the case, I think it makes sense to move forward with this now and start looking at the dates, see if we can agree on the 29th, at least for now. If Commissioner Brandemarty cannot do the 29th, I'm sure that something can be worked out separately for her.
He told me that, I mean, this is a 16-hour block, and all you need is 1 hour. And he told me, you know what, Manager, if I need to do the next day, or if a commissioner has an issue that in this 16-hour block they cannot make themselves available, give me a date when they can, make themselves available, and I can do that hour with them at any time.
So with that, were there any other concerns?
Yeah, I don't have 8 hours. I don't know if any of us just has just 8 hours to come and delegate to this without really proper notice. I mean, it's hard for us to get 2 hours.
We're not
in.
deciding to do that tonight. We're
I
saying just an
understand
hour.
that, but when I put this on the agenda, I wanted to discuss all of that. And so I don't know what everyone can do, or the 29th, or what time, or whatever, but you all, I guess, come up with some times, and I'll see if I can.
I mean, if I may, Commissioner, I think that the Vice Mayor, in her wisdom, we want to take baby steps towards agreeing on this first step. It's once you get started on that first step, you're going in the right direction. So basically, what I will do is if you prefer that I give Lyle your number, rather than me giving Lyle yours, I would do that. And you can communicate with him and call him and schedule that hour within that 16-hour time frame on the 29th. And if by chance you can't do it on the 29th, then you let me know what day is good for you, and we'll arrange it.
I would like to make a motion to ensure that the community input is put into this, and then y'all do whatever with the 29th.
Do we have to do anything to authorize the $5,000 purchase of the additional item?
Yes, to do things above board and transparent and best practices, set aside a not to exceed 5,000 to include the Citizen Summit, and I will look in the budget and come to you and let you know what line item, not yours, but with some of the savings that perhaps we've identified to include the Citizen Summit.
So make that motion as stated?
Yes.
Okay. So Commissioner James, would you like to make that motion?
Yes, I make that motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then, can you also set, I realize some people want the number sent to them, some, whatever. Can you send me the number so I can call Mr. So-and-so?
I'll send you all Mr. Summick's number, and I'll send you again his resume, all the cities and everything, so you have his full biography.
But boldface the number, so I know
I'll
who called.
boldface the number.
Please, to all of us?
To all of you.
Because you know what? Because sometimes this happens where we just get a whole lot of information, and it's just like, what do you want me to do today? You want me to call the guy and make a
I'm gonna-
time, call him at lunch? Done.
I'm going to
Don't
make
give
it
me
very,
20
very
things to
simple,
do.
and we'll boldface the number.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Is there anything more?
I guess that's it.
Okay. Commission comments. Commissioner Harris?
Hi, everybody. How y'all doing? So, just a week ago, we went to the summit, or the Part 150 program at the airport, regarding the noise abatement program. There were some residents there from Fort Lauderdale, Cooper City, Davie, Weston, and of course, Dania Beach. As Mark can probably tell you, there wasn't really anything new decided, but what they decided to do was wait until August to get the determination on what some of the facts were, which everybody objected to, but yet with the FAA, nobody could do anything about. Am I explaining that correctly? So it's a wait-and-see attitude. I know the Weston City Commission, 2 members of that, one of them who's even an American Airlines pilot, they made the trip to to the FAA in Washington, D.C. to try to lobby for some noise issues, but it's an ongoing process, and we'll just keep going to the meetings, and the next one might not be until August. Is that right, Mayor?
That was my
That was my
understanding.
understanding.
Well, we can still, they don't have a date. They don't have a date.
I mean, there was probably 50 people there, and,
There
we're
wasn't
lucky
final
that we
one,
have
but-
residents like Donna Peplin and Gary Lutke who do their homework, and basically they count the rivets on the planes as they fly over at night, and they have really good technical information, but it was almost like, okay, that's great, we'll talk to you in August. It was kind of that attitude. So last week was in Tallahassee with the manager lobbying for the infrastructure program on the Southwest and also for the replacement of Southeast 4th Avenue. We met with many senators and Representative Evan Jenny and our lobbyist group. And so hopefully when that budget is decided in March, that we'll get part of the funding that we're looking for. I followed up each meeting the next day with all the senators, their aides, Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz and others, just to try to push the agenda forward. And if anybody wants a copy of the scope of work that's involved in replacing Southeast 4th Terrace from Federal Highway almost to 4th Avenue, it's a total of 3,616 feet. But the road bed has to be replaced and completely dug up, and it could be as much as 24 to 36 inches deep, and over the period of time, it's really settled. And if any of you have ever been down that street, it has the accordion effect, so that's first and foremost, because it is a major street. So we worked hard on that. Also went to the Broward County Flood Risk Assessment Program, which was hosted by the county over at the Ann Kolb Nature Center to see what our chances of flooding are. So it was a program for homeowners so you could see what your risk is because of sea level rise and different things. So what you did is you gave them your address and they just scoped out all these different maps and everything, and to see that where I live, the flood risk used to be not like a number 4 out of 10. Now it's a number 6. So anybody that lives in Southeast will probably get more information, because we will probably have to increase our flood insurance coverage because of that. We will be joining the Florida League of Cities with the Hate Crimes Coalition, and we'll be working up with the manager and the city attorney for drafting a resolution on that. That's coming up as well. And also at the last Broward League of Cities meeting, and the vice mayor was there as well. So on February the 26th, we're having a workshop with the city commission from Dania Beach and with Hollywood about multi-jurisdictional issues. The details are being hammered out right now as far as the location and a time. I do know it is on the 26th, as Vice Mayor Tracy Kalari from Hollywood said. And because of the multi-jurisdictional issues, and Marjorie will appreciate this, that we'll have the Dania Beach City Commission, whoever wants to attend, it's not mandatory. It'll be a totally noticed meeting. Hollywood will come, and we're also going to try to include members of the tribe to come and join us as well. So, and it's open to the public. Anybody's welcome to come. I think it'll be a good exchange of any kind of ideas and multi-jurisdictional issues from 441 to US 1 and Sheridan Street. So as soon as we get the details hammered out, which should be by tomorrow if you read the memo that I got today, then we'll make it public and anybody can come. I think it will be a good learning experience, and we get to know our neighbors a little bit better. And it's because of you, Marge, that when you said you got the attention of the tribe by calling him and inviting him and So I think reaching out to your neighbors is a very important thing to do. So that's what we've done. So I think that's my report for now. Thank you. Thanks, everybody, for staying. Thank you.
Commissioner James?
Yes, I only have one thing, and that is Debbie Wasserman-Schultz sent an email out about appropriations, and so I'm not sure if that's something that we can take advantage of as a city. The application deadline, I know, is March the 2nd, so I know it's rapidly approaching, but if there are any monies or anything that we can have for the city, I want us to take full advantage of it. So did I send that to you? So
One of you did, right?
I think I sent it to you.
Yeah, I think you both did, actually.
Okay, but I just want to make sure that, I know we have grant writers that are retained and on staff or under contract, sorry. And so if we could use them and make sure that we are getting as much money as we can, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor?
I hope people will attend that meeting on the 26th. I know we're trying to decide where the location is going to be, but I was happy to see that Hollywood seemed very enthusiastic about it, and they seem to see the value in cities, neighboring coastal cities, really getting together and sort of reimagining what municipal governments can do that are in close proximity in ways we're looking to be creative in ways that we could have some discussions about what we could do to leverage our cities together, because there really is power in numbers. So I'm excited about that meeting, and I do hope some residents will show up. I know on the 13th, this Thursday, we have representatives from Senator Rubio's office coming to Dania Beach City Hall, representatives from the Social Security Agency, the Citizen Immigration Services, and the Urban Housing Development Authority are all going to be here. So that will be from 10 to 1. If anyone needs those services, you know anyone who that would be helpful to, please let them know. I think we also have a flyer on our social media as well. And that is all that I have for tonight. Thank you for staying.
Well, a few of you already said some of the things that I was going to talk about, so thank you very much. And with that, I'm sorry that I missed a few things that happened on the weekend of Super Bowl, but I had this horrible cold that's going around, and I know it's kind of infecting everybody in City Hall right now. Candido. But all better now, all is well, and hopefully you all are taking care of yourselves and making sure that if you are getting this cough, you're going to the doctor, because it's really bad and it sticks around. So make sure that you're taking care of yourselves. Don't worry about how busy you are. If you're sick, go to the doctor. And that's all I'm going to say. Thank you all very much, and have a lovely evening. I know, it's still so early. It's early. Okay. The next item, there's a couple more items. Appointments, Complete Count Advisory Committee, after the Vice Mayor's plea to us. Does anybody have anyone that they would like to add? I will say that I promise at the next meeting I will have somebody.
Okay, so since the mayor is committing to have
I am
somebody,
committing.
I am going to make the commitment to find someone as well. I will start knocking on doors until I find somebody, a willing victim.
That's okay. General Employees Pension Board, does anybody have any suggestions for this yet? I've heard that there might be somebody that may be good for this, but I haven't seen anything sent in yet, so. Okay, so we'll hold off on that one. I'm assuming the same thing for Police and Fire Pension Board. We're going to hold off on that too. Nobody has anything? Okay. Vice Mayor, do you have an appointment for the Green Advisory Board?
Oh, I have an open appointment?
Yes. Green Advisory.
I commit to giving that name at the next meeting.
Okay. Okay, so administrative reports. City Manager?
Yes, good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, residents of the great city of Dania Beach and city administration. So we're extremely excited that the official ribbon cutting for the world's most beautiful entryway sign will take place February 24th. This commission really funded the landscaping, and I appreciate it, because if you're going to do something in our city, we're going to do it right. So we're going to meet here at 10 a.m. on February 24th. We've been coordinating this, via Mark and DOT to make sure that you guys are safe. The sun will be in the right position with the airplanes right behind you guys as we do the ribbon cutting at 10:30 a.m. So I invite all the residents. We'll send invitations out to everybody. I told Kona, who really was so instrumental, on every single detail of the landscaping, and we met several times, and I'm super excited about that. Thank you for the additional $5,000 to be added. I think the Citizen Summit is a great idea to be able to involve our residents in our strategic planning and the priorities for our city. So we'll bring back a resolution to make it official and add that $5,000 specific for Citizen Summit. So we have identified savings in personnel. So that $17,000 from the city commission's budget that you all had for contingency has been returned back to you. So any ideas for any things that you want to do in the future, that has been amended. So thank you for that suggestion. So that's taken care of. Our Tallahassee trip was fantastic. Basically, it's nonstop. Every time I go to Tallahassee, I have to throw away my shoes. Thank you to Commissioner Harris. It's a small plane. Going to the bathroom is not even optional, because it's super small. But it's so exciting to be there in Tallahassee, in the seat of our state government, representing you all and making sure if there's a piece of the state pie that we're going to bring some money home. We haven't brought money home in a long time, and we're positioning ourselves this year. This is what we left behind with every single one of the elected officials that we met, and it was basically those two key projects in our city, with your picture in the back. But, everybody was extremely impressed, and I wanted to thank Public Works, Fernando, for putting this together with Marjorie and with Colin. It's like you only get 3 minutes sometimes to pitch. Mayor knows because she was with us last year. So it was really exciting, and we did a really good job. And I'm extremely excited about the opportunities that maybe this year we can get the monies. I want to thank our Parks and Rec director, because we have not had any funding from FERDAP in a very, very long time. And we worked together with our grant writer and to place number 2 in the whole state of Florida for this grant. So it's very important that you contact Senator Farmer and State Rep Geller and all our local representatives to make sure that they continue to fund FERDAP, which is a great assistance for Parks and Recreation and the rest of our projects. Let's see. We will be completing a new administrative policy. I've called the city phone on several departments, and I just want to make sure that we are available to our residents, and within 24 hours during the work week, that we're able to call you back. Because at the end of the day, we as public servants are here for you. And I know that this is something that's very important to all of you as elected officials. In my former city, we came up with an app that our residents were able to really, as they're walking or driving or bicycle riding throughout the city, they're able to see anything from a pothole or a street sign that is covered by a tree. So we're going to be working on that, and I know Candido has a presentation that he's bringing forward on the first week of March, if not the last meeting in February, as we elevate the experience with our external customer, which is you, our residents. So the closing report by an independent building official in regards to the place at Dania Beach will be coming forward the first week in March. The city center negotiations, we have an internal meeting tomorrow, and we look forward to give you a full report, if not the last week in February, the first week in March. And at the upcoming meeting in February, we'll provide a presentation in regards to the GOB bond. We passed a Parks Master Plan. It was the first in our city's history. This commission passed it. Now our goal is, how do we fund it? How do we take our parks and recreation to new heights? So we'll be bringing that report to you at the next meeting. And this concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Corinne, last Friday, when we were at the Safe Street Summit at the Marriott Harbor Beach, there were like 500 people in that room, and when the guy from Denmark was talking about utilization of spaces and rooftop parks and, you know, landscaping alleys and making them usable thoroughfares and the use of container homes and like what they're doing in Hollywood. So, I mean, I thought there were 500 people there from all over Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County, but you could see that all the different transportation modes, how people got there that day, because they had an app that you could, it was like live and interactive right there. Did you walk? Did you take the train? Did you take a cab, Uber, Lyft, drive? And you could see that the transportation issues involving everybody in the Tri-County area are basically the same. You know, traffic congestion. That morning it was raining, which it was pouring, actually. It took, you know, an hour to get the usual 15-minute drive, but there was lots of good, useful information, and that I'll report back at some other time about what the MPO outcome of was for the Safe Street Summit, and of course, it is to make streets safer. So, but thanks you guys for being there as well.
Anyone else? No? City Attorney?
Yes, I've been fortunate to conclude the search for an assistant city attorney. We had 4 very, very viable candidates, any one of whom could do the job that we're looking to help with, especially land use and code, for a full-time assistant city attorney. I have selected someone, and I'm going to be recommending that person. She is going through a process of vetting now, and I'll be able to identify at the next meeting we begin. Hope to start March 2nd. We'll introduce her before then.
Thank you. City Clerk?
I'm sorry, I thought he had more. I'm sorry. Upcoming meeting reminders. Tuesday, February 25th at 7 p.m. is your regular City Commission meeting. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you. With that, we are adjourned. Thank you.
I know.
Listen, I can't even, I don't know what to do with it. We almost made my decision.
Public art.
Thanks.